welcome back. In today's lecture, again I am going to relook inside the representation problem. So we have basically two approaches. First approach I have already discussed, that is based on cause and effect, and in today's lecture I am going to take the another approach, that is energy based approach. So differential equation formulation may be derived from energy consideration instead of the cause and effect. And in this direction, if we see the classical literature, one of the most important contribution that is given by Lagrange. And before going to derive the Lagrange equation, first we have to understood some kind of symbols, means using that symbols basically we are going to derive the Lagrange equation, and using that equation I am going to capture the dynamics of the systems. So in this lecture again I am going to consider only the dynamical systems, means those system which is moving or somehow changing their states. I will define state in the later part of this course with respect to time. So Lagrange first analyzed the energy of system, and then he applied his finding to macroscopic bodies, considering as a summation of a small particle. And I will tell you what is meaning of this. So first important concept you have to understood, that is related to coordinates and velocities, because it is possible to show that whatever Lagrangian formulation, that is function of these two quantity only. So first quantity is nothing but the coordinates, and you all are knowing that what is meaning of coordinates. And after that, second important quantity is related to the rate of change of that coordinate, means that is called velocity. So suppose that I have some mechanical object, because whatever formulation that is given by Lagrange, first they have defined it for mechanical system. So due to that reason I am taking example of mechanical system first, and it is possible to show that same kind of formulation one can apply for electrical system, chemical system, or other classes of system, electromechanical system, or whenever some way if we are able to construct the kinetic energy or potential energy of the system by analogy, then one can easily apply these kind of methods. So basically in this class I am going to use most of time the Cartesian coordinate. So suppose that I have some object, so that object in a space that is specified, suppose that I have some particle here at this point P, so I am going to use the Cartesian coordinate to specify. So I have x, y, and z. So here I have just considered the translation. Suppose that if I also consider the rotation, then again I have three more coordinates, that is theta, phi, or psi. So rotation, at that time I will also consider the rotation. So somehow I am going to use 6 different coordinate frame to specify the position or state of some mechanical object. Now since I have, suppose that one particle, then I have n coordinate. Suppose I am just considering the translation here. So if I have n number of particle, so each particle for the translation I have 3 different coordinates. So basically I have 3n number of coordinates, and actually these concepts are essential in order to derive the Lagrangian formulation. Due to that reason, I have again repeated. I know that most of you already aware about this. Another important observation is like this: since the particle may have velocities, and suppose that initially I have some particle which at the reference position, so, and I am assuming that position equal to 0, but what we are telling that if I have certain amount of velocity, and we already know the relation between position and velocity, that is governed by the following law, because we know that somehow v, that is velocity, that is dx by dt. So once I have some velocity, so somehow that velocity will affect the position also, and I can able to write like this: x0, and after that I have v tau into d tau, and basically I have 0 to t. So basically what I have done, I have actually multiply dt on both sides, and after that I am taking the integral from x0 to xt. So in this way, same kind of things I have written here. Since the particle may have velocity which affect the position after a time interval, you can see that if I have some kind of finite time interval between 0 to t is finite. So, or you can also interpret like this: here suppose lower limit is t, then upper limit is t plus delta t, then only I can tell that effect of position, effect of velocity is reflected on the position. So due to that reason, we are commenting about the interval. So after a time interval, and that time interval is nothing but delta t, I am telling. And so due to that reason, a complete description of any system, because suppose that I have to specify the position of some object, then equally I have to information of the position as well as the velocity. So both are very much important. So due to that reason, we are talking about two things. One particular thing is about the coordinate system. Coordinate system specify the location or state of some object, and after that we are seeing the rate of change of that object. Now let us come to the another important quantity, that is called generalized coordinate. So what we have seen that here in first part of our discussion, we are just considering the translation motion, and translation motion. So if I have n particle, then for each particle I have three different coordinates. So basically I have 3n coordinate. But I have already told you that I have, it might possible that apart from the translation I have rotation, and if we come up to the another class of system like electrical system, then I have different kind of variables. Similarly in chemical system I have different kind of variables. So due to that reason, after talking about coordinate or velocity, Lagrange has defined the generalized coordinate. So let us try to understand what is meaning of generalized coordinate. So a set of generalized coordinate is any set of quantity by which location of particle can be specified. It means that there are not only one way to specify the location of the particle. I can use different way to locate some particle or identify some particle. So, and of course most of you might be aware that apart from coordinate Cartesian coordinate system, I can use spherical coordinates and similarly cylindrical coordinate, and that is basically based on the nature of our problem. So somehow what happens that generalized coordinate system we are selecting based on our problem. So whatever problem is given to us, first we will see the nature of problem and after that analyze and we will put the proper coordinate system. And for if you see the inside of this generalized coordinate system, so basically this includes all types of quantity may be employed to serve the purpose, but one of the most important thing is that that set should be unique. So somehow if in some coordinate frame if we are able to uniquely represent or specify the location of particle, then that is serve as a generalized coordinate system for the Lagrangian purpose. So let us try to see some simple example. So I have taken the example of the double pendulum. So again I have started from the example from the mechanical engineering. So here you can see that I have mass m, and actually here this pendulum is called double pendulum. You can see that I have one string here, after that second string is here. So in order to specify the position uniquely, I need two different generalized coordinate, that is theta1 and theta2, and obviously once generalized coordinate is fixed, then I can talk about the rate of change, that is d theta1 by dt and d theta2 by dt. So in this particular example, my generalized coordinate is theta1 and theta2, and velocities I can obviously define. So somehow I am telling that velocity here, if you talk in terms of velocity, then and if you know the length of this pendulum L, then you can see that somehow here this length from here to here I am specifying somehow as a theta, and this quantity, suppose this quantity is I can tell s. So in order to define the velocity I have to identify s, and s is nothing but L theta 1, and in order to specify velocity I will take the differentiation of ds by dt, so L theta dot. In this way we are defining the generalized velocity also. Similarly, for this electrical system, now I can choose the generalized coordinate system, and here you can see that q1 and q2 charge is the generalized coordinate system for this particular circuit, and obviously we all are aware that dq by dt is nothing but the current, so current is served for the velocity. So in this way we are specifying the generalized coordinate. Similarly, suppose that I have some kind of underwater vehicle, and that underwater vehicle is moving on some surface. Suppose that is moving on this sea surface. So in order to specify the coordinate system, here I can talk about the latitude and longitude. So in this way I have again two different generalized coordinate frame, and once we understood the generalized coordinate frame, another important quantity is called the degree of freedom. And somehow here, because I have already told you that in order to specify the location of some system, or in order to characterize the dynamical system, somehow I have to uniquely define the position, and once I know the position, I can talk about the rate of change of position. So somehow I have to identify the independent quantities. So whatever number of independent quantity which must be specified in order that the position of a body can be uniquely defined. So that is very, very important. So somehow I have to the select the independent quantity in such a way such that I can uniquely define the position of the body, and that particular unique representation is called the degree of freedom. And once we understood the definition, so from the previous example we can easily understood that here, in order to represent the position of this particular mass, I need two independent quantity, that is theta 1 and theta 2, and due to that reason what I am commenting, that degree of freedom for this particular object, here degree of freedom, so we are also representing by DOF, that is nothing but 2. Similarly, you can see that in this example I have again two independent quantity, means two independent charge Q1 and Q2 are required to characterize this circuit. So again degree of freedom is 2. Similarly, for this underwater vehicle which is moving on the surface of ocean, again degree of freedom is 2. And I will construct one example, using that you are able to understand that degree of freedom is 1. So basically, suppose I have some kind of arrangement like this, and I hope that during your physics lecture in 10+2 most of people has already seen this kind of system, and this particular machine has some special name, and that is called Atwood machine. Atwood's machine, you can tell. And actually here you can see that if this block will move, then this block will move in this direction. So here degree of freedom is just 1. So in order to specify the position of this block, I just need one independent quantity. Similarly, now try to see that I have already told you that suppose if some object is moving, then what happens? Suppose I have some rigid object, so and now this object can do translation, this object can do rotation. So basically here you can see that I have 3 plus 3, it means that degree of freedom is here 6. So most of time whenever I have some problem related to rigid motion, means where translation and rotation is involved, and we are assuming that distance between two particles is always fixed, that is the meaning of rigid body, then at that time degree of freedom is equal to 6. 3 degree of freedom in direction of translation, 3 degree of freedom in direction of rotation. So basically I need 6 generalized quantity to characterize the motion of rigid body. Now if you understood the above 3 quantity, then let us come to the Lagrangian. So now somehow I have already told you that Lagrangian had first formulated the concept of energy, and using concept of energy they have come up or land up to the motion of the particle. And in order to specify the motion of particle, they have just used two concepts, coordinate system and rate of change of coordinate system. So, and most of work of Lagrangian is motivated from the mechanical engineering. Due to that reason, I have considered one system. And basically, what I am assuming that this system is moving from this position Q1 to Q2, and I am assuming that here, since this object is moving only in one dimension, so here degree of freedom is just 1. So I am assuming, and due to that reason you can see that I have just used one generalized frame, that is Q, to represent this system, and rate of change is nothing but Q dot, that is the velocity of that system. So what we have to establish now, that if I know the position Q and Q dot, then I can uniquely define the position of this object if this object is moving in one dimension. So in order to establish the uniqueness, now what I am going to do, here you can see that this object, suppose I have some object and I have two position, then what happens that from here to here you can see that I can move in different way. Either I can move like this, move like this, move like this, in similar several different way I can move. And in order to move from here to here, every time I will move only this distance, but each path I have different amount of energy is required from to move from here to here. And if you evaluate the energy function, and actually I am assuming that that energy is the function of Q and Q dot, so I have defined energy function, that is L. Sometime it might possible time is also explicitly involved, but sometime may not. And after that, what we are telling that I have defined one quantity, that is called I, and that is integral of this function L, and L is the explicit function of Q, Q dot and T. And based on this particular relation, Lagrangian has defined the following notion. So now I am going to define the meaning of Lagrangian with help of this relation first, and how basically we have derived this function by moving some particle from position Q1 to Q1 T1 to Q2 T2. So after that, Lagrangian is defined like this. Suppose that system changes from the first to second state. So here state is nothing but we are talking about the position or coordinate system in such a way that relationship means here whatever function I have defined, so this relationship takes the least possible value. So we are ensuring that whatever integral, the value of this integral is as small as possible. Then the function L is called Lagrangian of the system. So you can see that this is somehow abstract definition. So, and in this abstract definition, I till now I haven't talked that how to construct this function L. But what we are telling that suppose there exists some function L, that is function of Q, Q dot and T, and if I calculate this integral and if I get the least value of this integral, then this function L is called Lagrangian. So now I have to construct this function such that I is minimum. So you can see here that L can be constructed in many different ways, but we have to construct in such a way such that L is minimum. So that is our problem. And another problem which is related to this problem is called Hamilton principle. So what Hamilton principle is basically telling, I will actually discuss some more about Hamilton and modeling based on this principle in the next lecture. So in today's lecture, just I am going to tell you the relation between this integral and Lagrangian. So at least we have understood that, okay, means if L is some kind of Lagrangian function, and if I put this Lagrangian function here, then value of this particular integral is minimum or very or least possible value, means whatever choices I have. And the fact that dynamic system will move in just this way such that I one is nothing but I have defined this relation, this integral relation, takes the least possible value is called the Hamiltonian principle. So principle is called Hamiltonian, but L is called the Lagrangian. And now let us see this remark. Here what we are telling that Lagrangian of a system is a function of generalized coordinate and derivative of generalized coordinate, but not a function of higher derivative. It means that if q you can interpret as a position, then I can interpret q dot as a velocity, q double dot as a acceleration, and q triple dot as a jerk. Then what we are telling that Lagrangian is just function of the position and their derivative. So somehow with this motivation, and later you are able to see that why we are able to express or why we are able to give some kind of physical meaning to some system which is represented by higher order differential equation by just representing them in the set of first order differential equation. And somehow the geometrical notion or physical notion is motivated from here only. So the Lagrangian of a system is a function of q and q dot, but not a function of q double dot and q triple dot. So we have defined like that only. This is another way to saying that mechanical state, since all work he has done for mechanical system, and later people have extended it for electrical system or other system also. So due to that reason, they have specified about the mechanical state of a system is completely determined when coordinates and velocities are known. So just we have to know these two quantity. So this is somehow the information that how to evaluate or how to construct this particular relation. Now using this relation, you can see that this is very much abstract because I have infinite many choice for L. Later Lagrangian also have given the solution of this, and that is called the quantitative way. And always if we know the quantitative way, then it is more useful for the practical problems. So due to that reason, I'm not going to talk about the qualitative analysis. Qualitative analysis is just that we have to construct some L that is function of q dot might be time, such that whatever integral I am getting, that should be list value, means that should be list value for some system, and that is nothing but the Hamiltonian principle. So using Hamiltonian principle, somehow now I have to specify the Lagrangian. And qualitatively, later Lagrange has told that it is very easy to construct this Lagrangian function. That is nothing but the difference of energy is somehow, you can see that this is the kinetic energy, and most of time kinetic energy we are assuming that that is function of the q, means coordinate, and derivative of coordinate, and potential energy is just function of the position. So, and we are talking about the conservative field, means system is moving with conservative, some kind of conservative force, and we know that work done is in conservative field is just depending on the displacement. So somehow I am assuming that there is, suppose I have mechanical system, then there is no friction. Suppose that I have electrical circuit, then there is no resistance. So these kind of assumption initially we are assuming, and later we can also include the some kind of friction, some kind of lossy element inside this formulation. So T is here nothing but kinetic energy, V is the potential energy of the system. So later, what somehow we are telling that I have integral I from T1 to T2, and if the inside function of the integral is the difference between kinetic energy and potential energy, then I will able to get the least value of the integral. That is the meaning now. So now let us try to see that using one example, that how to construct this Lagrangian function. So I have considered the one of the very much standard example, and somehow control system, if you see the classical control system, so somehow control system people are telling that started from this control problem, means most of time they are talking about governor or these kind of things. So here I am going to construct the block diagram of the governor or some kind of representation of governor. So a speed governor that I am going to show using this figure. So basically I have some mass, so these are the mass, and I have to move this mass on a vertical axis, and this is our vertical axis, and at the same time whole system is also rotating, and you can see that here rotation, angular rotation is omega. So basically you can see that this mass is moving on vertical direction, and after that what happens, this system is also rotating. So basically, and coordinate system I have selected, you can see that this is just one kind of standard coordinate system x and y, and after that I will talk about the generalized coordinate system. So in order to calculate the kinetic energy and potential energy, first you can see that since if I take potential energy here, this as a reference point, then that is 0. So potential energy is nothing but I have 2 mg L cos theta, because theta is rotating and this mass is moving, and due to that reason what we are telling, what what we are assuming that this distance from this axis is not fixed, and due to that reason kinetic energy comes into picture with respect to these two mass. And that is, I think that is pretty easy to see that why I have written like this, because L has two projection, L cos theta and L sin theta. So somehow as theta is moving, then this potential energy is changing, and similarly I can define for the this mass m2. And kinetic energy, you can see that here mass m1 is moving as well as m2 is moving, so that is total kinetic energy is nothing but the resultant of T1 and T2. So I have already told you that, means I have selected theta here, but in order to calculate the velocity, if I know L, then I have to talk about somehow this distance, and this is s equal to L in, and s equal to L into theta. So s dot, that is called velocity, because we are somehow talking about the linear velocity, and that is nothing but L into theta dot, and due to that reason half mva square kind of relation comes into picture. And similarly here for the, I have this for first one, this for, again I have two different kind of motion here, motion in x direction and motion in y direction. So due to that reason kinetic energy is developed due to both motion, and energy is always scalar, so we have just added it to two energy together. And finally one can easily see that since this mass is not moving on horizontal direction, then only due to this vertical motion with respect to m2 I have energy. And finally I have the Lagrangian. So Lagrangian I can define like this: L equal to kinetic energy minus potential energy. So in this way I can formulate the Lagrangian for this system. So now at least we are able to understand the how to formulate the Lagrangian. Now suppose that if I formulate Lagrangian L using kinetic energy minus potential energy, now I have to use the Hamiltonian principle to establish or to derive some kind of dynamical equation. And we know the principle that somehow I have to select L in such a way such that value of this integral is minimum. So how basically we will proceed? First, what I am going to do, that I am going to change the position of object q by q plus delta q. And if you will do this, then I am assuming that since I am considering the energy, so here I is going to increase. Now here what I am going to do, that I am going to replace everywhere q by q from q plus delta q. So obviously the rate of change of this is q dot plus delta q dot. I am assuming here that this Lagrangian function L for our particular problem is not function of the time. Due to that reason I am going to remove that, means that is not explicit function of the time. So I have two things, implicit function or explicit function. So here you can see that as time is changing, my position is changing, and based on position L is changing. So q is the direct function of time, but L is the indirect function of time. And after that I am going to see the difference between these two, delta I, and we all are already know that the, if something, some quantity, means I want to somehow make L in such a way such that whatever this integral that has minimum value. So one of the easier method to ensure this, just what you can do, you can perturb both side by delta. So here in place of I have delta I. Similarly I want to see this side by delta perturbation, and if I will means replace or take the increment in I by delta I. So here you can see that I am able to get like this, since L is function, explicit function of Q. So I am telling that if I change this integral, then effect of this integral is first the change of L with respect to this Q and plus delta Q, and similarly with this, so dl by dq dot and delta q dot and dt. So I think that this is very obvious. Several times you have used this kind of formulation in order to minimize some function. Now here you can see that I can also able to write one kind of equivalent expression to this. So this quantity, because here delta q dot is involved and delta q dot is explicit function of time, due to that reason I can also write like this. So here delta q dot means delta q by increment of dq by dt. So I can also replace like this, and after that, after absorbing this, I can able to rephrase like this. And now you can see that what I have done here, I am going to keep this part of integral as it is, and here I am going to take the integral by part. So if you will take the integral by part, then I have dou L by dou Q dot, and after that dq integral t1 to t2 and minus, and after that what I have to do, I have this function I have taken, so I have to take the derivative of this, and after that I have to take the integral of this, and after that again. So just what I have done, I have used here integral by part. So just please check it. By doing integral by part, I am able to get this kind of relation. So basically one quantity I have considered this, another quantity I have considered this. So integral of this is this, and after that derivative of this quantity this side is this. And now if you rearrange this term, then what happens, that I have following kind of relation. So just this relation comes into picture by rearrangement. You can see that this particular term is reflected here, and after that I am going to collect this particular integral and this side of integral, and after that I am going to get this. So just please check it, that is pretty easy. Now you can see that, suppose that if I am going to assume that at t1 time I have qt1 and change of delta q1 t and delta q2 t2 equal to 0, because somehow I have to minimize this function. So what we are telling, that necessary condition for the minimization is that delta I should be 0. So it means that if these two are very small, so somehow delta q is 0, delta q2 t is also 0, so this part of integral is nothing but 0. So if this part is 0, then obviously I have to make sure that second part is also 0. So in order to make second part equal to 0, what I have to do, we have to make sure that whatever inside the integral, so inside the integral I have somehow this particular quantity, so that should be equal to 0, and same kind of things I have done here. So this is, I think that this is very obvious, and in this way I can, you can easily see that now no here integral is involved if I know the L, because L is function of q and q dot. So after that I have to just solve this kind of partial differential equation. So why I am telling this as a partial differential equation, you can see that partial sign is involved here. So in order to formulate the dynamics of the system, now you have to just solve this partial differential equation, and it is possible to show that after solving this partial differential equation you are able to get the differential equation. So in order to show that, I am going to take some obvious examples, and let us try to take the first example. So again I have considered the Atwood's machine, and here you can see that degree of freedom is just 1 I have considered in this particular problem. So here basically I have 1 degree of freedom. So with 1 degree of freedom I have selected x1 as a generalized coordinate. I am assuming potential energy here as a 0. So kinetic energy is due to the either this block move in downward direction, then this will move in upward direction, or vice versa. So I have two different component of energy, kinetic energy, that is half m x dot square, it is obvious, and potential energy, you can see that I am assuming 0 here. So I have mg x. So this is not x1, basically this is x. So I'm going to remove x1 from here. So so without any confusion, now you are able to calculate the value of the kinetic energy and potential energy. And once you know the kinetic and potential energy, then you can just calculate the difference between kinetic energy minus potential energy. That will gives you the value of the Lagrangian, and once you will get the Lagrangian, then now just what you can do, you can just follow the Lagrangian equation, and you know the Lagrangian equation is nothing but d by dt dou L by dou q dot. So in this particular problem, q is nothing but I have x, so x dot and minus dou L by dou x equal to 0. So if you solve this partial differential equation, then you will get this kind of differential equation. So in this way I can uniquely able to specify the position of object. And here you can see that in order to solve this equation, you have to need two value of initial condition, x0 and x dot 0. So due to that reason, we are telling that if I want to uniquely solve this differential equation, then at least two initial condition is required. And if I have x0 and x dot, then I can talk about all future value of the system. Now let us in this part, what we have seen that if I have Lagrangian I have defined in a very simple way, that is difference between kinetic energy minus potential energy, and after that we have used the Hamiltonian principle to minimize the energy, and after that we found the differential equation. And what after that in reverse way we are telling that if this condition is satisfied, then whatever energy whatever I integral of that energy function, that is minimum, and in this way that represent the dynamical system. So from energy we will end up to the dynamical system. Now in this formulation, what we have seen that nowhere we are talking about the external force or some kind of force due to friction or some dissipative force, but most of time these kind of force is appear in dynamical system. So we have to consider that also. So in order to do that, I will tell you that just we have to rearrange that equation. So what is observation here? L is the difference of kinetic energy minus potential energy, and I have defined in this particular lecture potential energy as a V. So that is difference between T minus V, and after that you can see that if I substitute T minus V in place of L, then I will get this kind of equation. And what we are going to do, the right hand side of this I have defined as a P, and most of time if our field is conservative, then or if some object is moving in conservative field, then v is just function of the position. So somehow this term will not present. Now some if some external force may be due to friction or some other due to some other quantity, if that will come into picture, then I have to also incorporate that force here. So that is the observation of the Rayleigh. So same kind of things I have written here. It is noted that if only some of the force acting on the system are derivable from a potential, then Lagrangian equation can be written in the following form. Here I have P and I have F, and F we are telling that some other force that is not arising from a potential energy. So basically I have one force due to potential energy, and now I am going to incorporate other force which is not coming from the potential energy, and that is nothing but the friction force. And in case of friction or non-conservative system, it is possible to show that is proportional to the velocity, and direction is always opposite to the velocity. So if object is moving in forward direction, then that force is in backward direction. Due to that reason, negative sign is here, and B is the proportionality constant. And in this way, this scientist, that is called Rayleigh, he told that if I define one function like this, half b q dot square, then you can see that f is nothing but the negative of derivative of d with respect to velocity. And finally what they have done, they simply incorporate that quantity here. So in this way, if system has some kind of dissipative action, then also using the Lagrangian formulation I can able to capture it. So this is the Lagrangian equation for the non-conservative system. So what is extra quantity comes into picture here? Just apart from the effect of potential energy, I am also going to see the effect of all kind of non-conservative force. Because why I am telling friction as a non-conservative force? Because suppose that if your displacement is zero, then work done is zero, provided your field is conservative. But suppose friction is involved, then work done in closed path is non-zero. So somehow we have to incorporate that, and due to that reason this quantity comes into picture. So let us see one very simple example. So I have taken the example of pendulum system which is moving in the open air. So here again I have one component, that is kinetic energy, so half m, and I have already told you that why L theta dot comes into picture, because S I will calculate and S dot, and after that I am assuming that this is the reference position, so I have minus mgl cos theta, that is potential energy, and dissipative function. So whatever friction force means whenever bob is moving in open air, then that is proportional to the square of velocity. So in this way, by Rayleigh function I can create like this, and finally just I have to solve this particular partial differential equation. And if you solve this partial differential equation, then you are able to get this second order system. So basically using this second order system, so here I have again degree of freedom is just 1. So due to that reason only one coordinate system is required, theta, and I am going to represent system. I am going to solve, I am going to guess the future value of theta if I have information of theta 0 and theta dot 0. So using this equation I can able to guess the dynamical behavior of this system. Similarly, suppose that if I have RLC circuit, so again things become now very simple. So I have to just calculate the kinetic energy minus potential energy, and we all are knowing that whatever energy that is saved inside the inductor, that is in form of kinetic energy, and inside the capacitor, that is somehow the form of the potential energy. Due to that reason, kinetic energy term is appear here, half L q dot square, and V equal to q square by 2c. And resistor is always acting like some kind of dissipative element, so B is replaced by R, and in this way I am able to again formulate the Lagrangian function T by again now I know T, I know V, I know D, so I am able to solve this equation. So I know the kinetic energy, I know the potential energy, I know the dissipative function. So using these three information I will put here, and after that I am able to formulate this equation. And why I have selected this example, because easily now you can check that whatever formulation, that is using KVL and KCL we are doing, same kind of things is consistent here. If you replace I by dq by dt, then again second order differential equation comes into picture. Now suppose that here till now what I am assuming that I have just 1 degree of freedom. Actually 1 degree of freedom in here also. In this particular case I am also assuming that RLC circuit, so q is the generalized coordinate and q dot is the velocity, and due to that reason everywhere I am just talking about 1 degree of freedom. Now suppose that if I have more than 1 degree of freedom, then basically I have to formulate same kind of equation and number of equation. So each degree of freedom I have one equation, and basically whatever external force here, what we have seen that I have somehow here you can see that again cause balance principle comes into picture. So this is creating cause, and somehow this is external force is creating some kind of cause, and this is the effect. So somehow I am balancing here, and Q and R all the generalized force, and here again I have dissipative action, here potential energy, here I have kinetic energy, and in generalized coordinate I can write equation like this. Again I am not going to how to derive this equation. Just you can see that in external, whenever external action comes into picture, then whatever internal quantity, that is exactly equal to the external force. Somehow using that we are writing this. So now I have considered one more example. So here what I have done, I have just replaced the rigid rod of the pendulum system by some kind of flexible, means I have incorporated some kind of a spring here, and what I am assuming that mass of this bob is m, L0 is the length of pendulum in absence of the motion, and k is the spring constant. So once motion is started, then this length is not going to remains L0, and b is the coefficient of the friction. So under this assumption again I can calculate the kinetic energy. Please check, this is the kinetic energy. Similarly I have dissipative action. So here now I have two different kind of quantity comes into picture. One is b r dot square, and after that I have b r theta dot square, and easily you are able to understand, because always if I have 2 degree of freedom, then we have to incorporate means quantity in x direction as well as y direction, or one direction and second direction. Similarly I can define the potential energy, and if after that just we have to solve two equation here, because here you can see that first you have to select the generalized coordinate. So what is generalized coordinate in this particular example? One generalized coordinate is theta. One generalized coordinate comes into picture because this length is also changing. So I have two generalized coordinate r and theta, and I am assuming that r r dot and theta dot, that is derivative of this, and using this coordinate I can able to formulate the Lagrangian equation. So please just check it, that is I think that is obvious, and we will get now two different equations. So this is fourth order system somehow, and if you simplify the second equation, so somehow we will get this. Here again you can put r equal to constant, you are able to again able to regain the first equation only. Now this kind of concept, because now here you can see that I have also able to incorporate the external force, all kind of force. So you can also able to formulate the differential equation of circuit where mutual inductances are there, and this is just for the means dot convention. It means that if current is flowing here, then whatever voltage, induced voltage, that is positive in this side, negative in this side, like that. That is in that way we are using the sign convention. Again you can see that you have to identify the all lossy element. So lossy element is only R1 R2, so that is responsible for dissipation. Energy is always stored in form of potential energy in case of the capacitor. So so all kind of potential energy, capacitor is only responsible. For inductor is responsible for kinetic energy, and you know that mutual interaction comes into picture once current will flow. So somehow that is also part of the kinetic energy, and due to that reason I have incorporated that part into kinetic energy. So and how to calculate the kinetic energy, so that is the product of the velocity. So somehow I have to know the mutual inductance between this coil and this coil, and after that the current flowing through first coil and second coil, and based on sign convention I can put positive and negative sign. So here you can see that here this and this both are this is positive and this is positive. Due to that reason positive quantity comes into picture, and all other place negative quantity I have. So please just check it. And similarly I have potential energy due to capacitor, and dissipative force is only due to the resistor. And again by solving these equation, and here you can see that this circuit has 3 degree of freedom. So here 3 degree of freedom. So due to that reason I have q1, q2, q3, q1 dot, q2 dot, and q3 dot. So somehow I have 3 set of second order differential equation. So this is sixth order system. So in this way, using the help of Lagrangian, I can able to specify the dynamical behavior of the system. So and in next lecture, now I am going to tell you that using Hamilton, is it possible to create the differential equation or not. So basically in this course I am going to use just two way. One way is cause effect, another way is Lagrangian. So based on energy I can also able to formulate the dynamical system. That is the main motive of the today's lecture. So thank you very much.